This episode of Better Bad Ideas is brought to you by LaborFirst. Let's get into it.
I'm Sean O'Brien, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Put your helmets on, buckle your chin straps. It's a full contact sport.
We're going to find out who has a better bad idea. So, SEAL Team 6 retired in 2013.
I did.
And big advocate for veterans, mental health, supporting PTSD, especially in that community, special forces. Tell me about psychedelic therapy. A little controversial.
Yeah,
right?
really controversial. So how did I get into this? So I didn't grow up around this. For me, this was something presented to me as like a last ditch effort in 2017. And so prior to that, even prior to getting out in 2010, while I was still on active duty, I left kind of operations and I went to instructor duty. I was burnt out, like mentally I was burnt out. I wasn't feeling good.
How many deployments did you do?
I did 6 deployments, a number of deployments to Afghanistan, Iraq, Germany, South America. It was busy. Like you know the deal. It was fun. It was busy. It was everything I wanted to do. Towards the tail end of my career, I just think I mentally just kind of went downhill a little bit. And so
rightfully so, right? I mean,
yeah, I tell some of my buddies that are still going, like my bud's roommate is still serving. And I'm like, dude, you guys I commend you, because I said, it came to a point for me that I had to take care of my family. It was really like, we were done. I had no relationship at the time with my wife, Amber. The kids didn't know who I was. And I was an angry individual to them and everybody else. So we went out to the West Coast. I became an instructor, and I thought life would be easier and better.
What's an instructor in Bud's
so
like?
I tell folks that you don't have to be a great operator to be a good instructor. And I didn't really love that. I was supposed to go right into like advanced training and teach tactics, which I really wanted to do. It's what I was good at. And they put me into first phase. And so I did it, but I'm not the guy that's going to be on the hill, on the sand there in California and beat my chest and yell at students and have this big ego rush of, telling students they suck. And that just wasn't my, or never has been really my MO. I've kind of always been a silent professional. If I had to say something, I said it, just like we're talking right now. Right. Everybody understood that if Marcus was talking, probably something he had to say was important. But there was a lot of instructors there, and you needed them too. They were like, feisty, and they would get in your face and they would yell, and they were out front in the PTs and everything else. And so it was with a really good group of guys, but I was just not in a good place. And so I didn't really mesh with that team.
And when you say you were not in a good place, because that's towards the end of your career.
Yeah.
Were you?
Well, I left my guys. Right. I left my guys. I left the operations.
There, right?
I left my tribe, my family, my community, and I kind of met a new family. And I had a few guys, of course, I was really close with, and all these guys were great individuals. But I just was not. Right. I wasn't in it anymore. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't in it, and so I thought I'd be able to patch up life with Amber and the kids, and that just kind of went south. And it felt like the more I was with them, there was just like no connect there.
So you leave high school, you go play junior college.
Played junior college football in New York, go to National Community College. It was always ranked nationally, like in the top 10.
That's big time.
I mean, when I showed up, like it was real football, and it was unbelievable. Best, a lot of the best guys from like the Northeast and like the East Coast,
right,
that came there, and I was a quarterback. And I was a passing quarterback, and we ran like the freeze option at the time, and it was like
wishbone.
I mean, this 6 foot tall white kid trying to run a freeze option, and what was good about it is my footwork got better. But like it wasn't. We
had to run a lot faster.
Yeah, it was good. And what I realized after that is I wasn't a great passing quarterback. I played quarterback like a linebacker.
Right.
I should have just been like a backer, and eventually my senior year at college at SIU, Southern Illinois, where I wound up getting a scholarship as a quarterback. I played tight end, and that was that was everything. It was great. I got to hit. I got to block. People don't like to. I loved blocking.
Unlike the tight ends now, they don't block. We had the best tight end ever. Mark Bavaro come out of Massachusetts,
of course.
tough as nails. So you graduate college, you get married young, you have children young.
We had children,
and
we had children. I met Amber when she was 17. She was going into her senior year in high school, and I was a sophomore quarterback at SIU, and her dad was my head coach.
Oh, that must have been rough. That must have been like that movie, The Program.
It was, that movie was quoted all the time because I was like that backup quarterback that was like, yeah, well, I'm getting the coach back for, you know, for not starting
benching me.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe Kane.
And, you know, I think we actually lay down in the middle of the road one night drunk, I'm sure, in college, because that's what they did.
Allegedly.
In the program. Allegedly. They took that scene out, if you remember, because a bunch of kids did it and they got, you know, anyway. I didn't meet Amber, though, until he left. So Coach Watts and Coach Pop left SIU to coach with his best friend, Gary Barnett. Barnett was coaching at Northwestern. When he went and left to coach at Northwestern is when I met Amber.
Right. Strategically started dating.
Extremely strategic, except his, you know, he had his soldiers still down there, right? And he got a phone call from one of his best friends, Coach Sherrill.
That's called an informant where we're from.
He was an informant. And he basically ratted me out, which we don't do.
No.
We know that. And I got a phone call from Pop, like, hey. But he was cool. I was always a good individual who like teetered the line of, you know, being a dumbass. And I just didn't think he liked his quarterback that he recruited from New York, who wore baggy jeans and white sneakers and his hat backwards to date his daughter. And we hit it off. I mean, from the day we met, we've been connected ever since. And so it's just something that kept us together. It was something that we loved being around each other. You know, she probably should have got rid of me a long time ago, but she's such a strong, loyal, faithful woman that I think saw if she can just get me to like get my head together, you know, we would come out the other side whole. And it's, you know, it's what we did years later.
I mean, outside of our handsome looks, I think we both have that in common. I have the same partner in life right now, and it's going to be my life partner. But it takes a special woman to be with someone like us. I mean, obviously don't have the military background or anything you have, but you know, we're alpha male.
Yeah.
You know, probably pretty headstrong.
Yeah.
Probably did not show a lot of emotions prior to, you know, getting to where you are and where I am now. But you had it all. I mean, you graduate college quarterback, meet the girl of your dreams. I think you had a child before you graduated.
We did. So I was graduating. We had Caden. She was in her sophomore year. And I mean, who's ready to do that? What
makes you want to go in the military and join the SEALs? Because, you know, John Fussel's a great friend of ours, right?
He says
great
hello,
guy.
by the way.
He's the best.
I sent him a text today. I said, hey, had a great dinner with Sean last night. You know, it was like really energizing for me to like hang out with someone again that was like
normal,
similar and normal and not fake. And like thank you. Like I feel like I got.
No, listen, I had a great night.
Yeah.
But, you know, John Fussell, you know, his story is, and look, I met him through a mutual friend several years back, and he had that trajectory to be a SEAL because he had generational connections. I think his uncle and his brothers all became SEALs.
They're tough as shit.
And it's like, so that mentality is, look, you're a product of your environment, so to speak.
Yeah.
You didn't have that, right?
No,
so to speak.
I mean, it was different. I mean, my dad was an athlete.
Yeah.
And his dad and his grandfather were extremely heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
His grandfather had a taxi medallion and owned a bunch of taxis in New York City and kind of grew up in that. And it was and fought Rommel in North Africa in World War II.
Sure.
Had a Purple Heart. They used to take his medals away when he wasn't in war because he got in fights all the time. And so, you know, that shit just kind of passed down. But my dad was an athlete, but I never grew up with this like patriotic push in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, Amber did. She actually, we have this handwritten letter she wrote to veterans at 10 years old in Southern Illinois. Like, dear veterans, I'm so proud of you. You protect our country. Like, so she grew up in that like patriotic household, patriotic community. I never did.
No, you were just trying to survive in your neighborhood.
100 and play sports and like, keep my sneakers on and my starter jacket and hopefully not get jumped on the way to the train. And so for me, when I told my parents I wanted to go in the Navy, it was like going into my senior year at SIU. They thought I was nuts. But if you want to hear a funny story, how that happened, I was with Amber. We were up one night watching TV and freaking G.I. Jane comes on the TV screen. And I didn't know anything. Picture like, stupid kid from New York, knows nothing about the military. I didn't know the difference between an officer or an enlisted guy. Like I was dumb, right? In that regard. And I thought it was cool. I was like, oh wow, this is like a specialized unit, and they talk about the best of the best and all this stuff. And as we know, it's completely fake. But from that is what sparked my interest. And then I saw the Discovery Channel special at the time that was out, and it was showing guys like rolling around the mud and like they just looked beat down. But the same thing, they were talking about, hey, these guys are the top
elite
military guys. They're, the best of the best. And that's what pulled me in. And it was like a team, right? And I only knew playing part of a team. I never really did an individual sport. I was always playing basketball, football, and baseball and all these things. And so for me, it was just like, it was an easy transition. I was going to be done playing football, graduate, and I can go right back to another team of competitive. Right. And that was the other thing. On the special, they were showing an instructor who's talking about what the individuals were like, and he said we were so competitive. He said we can play a chess game and get in a fight over it because the only thing that mattered is that you won.
A lot of testosterone.
And I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. I don't care. Most people look at that and they're like, that's absolutely crazy. And the more they talked about how hard it was, how tough it was, how it's miserable, showing guys with their hands tied behind their back, almost drowning, I was like, yes. And again, it takes a certain individual, I think, that looks at that and goes, I like that. That's what I want to do. And so that was it. So after that.
So how do you convince and you weren't married at the time, a young family, you're not even out of college. How do you convince your future wife, your girlfriend, mother of your child that, hey, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to train. I'm going to become a savage. I'm going to defend this country with everything I have. You may or may not see me ever again.
Become a savage. That was a weird conversation because, in her mind, and she even said it, she said, hey, the kids that go in the military from my hometown, like didn't have any money, couldn't go to college. And that's what she was thinking. And she didn't understand, the special operations community nowadays, I think they attract, the numbers are high, 35% or 45% have their undergraduate degrees, 15 or 20% have their graduate degrees. So it's like a different breed of individuals that are going into service to serve in special operations. And I don't think, we didn't know that at the time. Right. And we didn't know anything. I mean, we were so young. I don't think we knew what we were doing, and we had no money. And so, my pitch was basically, hey, if we get married, we have Caden, we get married, we get an extra $500 a month. Yeah. We have a child, we get an extra $78 a month. We have full medical, dental benefits. Like, we're winning.
Right.
At 20 something years old. I mean, that was it. It was kind of like, I don't think it was anything. Yeah,
because at this point in your life, right, prior to going in the service, you graduate in college, you don't know, most people don't know what they're going to do or end up doing.
No.
So you take a path, you go in the service, you become a Navy SEAL, all the while you're balancing some family issues, and then you're getting deployed and you're going to defend our country, putting your life on the line every single day. It had to take its toll on your family.
Yeah, I think it took a toll right away because you don't deploy right away, right? So first thing is, boot camp, buds, you're gone forever. I mean, I saw her at 4 a.m. in the morning. Mm-hmm. After Hell Week, it'd be at 4 a.m. and come back at, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, completely tired, go to bed. Don't give me the baby. Like, what am I? I mean, like, I'm worthless to try to raise a child during that time. So you're already in this environment that you can't even build a relationship. You can't build a family. The fact that we're still together going through buds.
Do you think it was part of the training, though, to like just basically institutionalize you to focus on what you need to do to serve this country?
Think about what you did to be where you're at today. I tell a lot of folks, I said, hey, I could sit here and bullshit and say balance, you should have balance in life. And I think as we get older, we can have balance because we're in a different place and we're not as grinding as we did when we started out. We're using our network and our relationships and our influence to make big things happen. You're making strategic decisions. You're going to, the hill and you're talking to the people in charge to make big decisions. But when you're starting out, like you have to focus 100% on what you're doing, whether you're a banker, whether you're a Navy SEAL, whether you're an athlete. You have to do that 100% to get good at your craft.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do anything half-assed and be successful. No. And the problem is, like my situation, I knew from 8 years old I wanted to be a Teamster. I knew that, and look, I tell people this all the time when they say, how's it feel to be the general president of Teamsters? I'm like, it's a lot of work. You help a lot of people. But there's a lot of sacrifice. Yeah. I mean, 35 years I've been in the union, and there's a lot of sacrifice, and that sacrifice is your family. Yeah. It takes a toll on your family. And in your mind, in my mind, I'm trying to justify not being home. I'm trying to justify missing birthday parties, communions, graduations, because I'm like, hey, selfishly, I think I'm the man, and I'm doing all this to benefit you.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're actually doing it to benefit yourself.
Yeah, it's selfish.
And fuel your ego.
No, it's selfish.
Right?
I had a good buddy of mine, one of the officers told me one time, he's like, Marcus, he's like, we're selfish. Like, we have it made. We play all day. We work out. We deploy overseas while our wives are at home taking care of the kids, maybe 1, maybe 4, 5. As soon as you walk out the door, the air conditioning breaks, the lawnmower doesn't work. The car breaks down.
Kids have a meltdown.
All of it happens as soon as you walk out the door. And I think we don't do a good job, looking back. Like our wives are definitely the unsung heroes, and the kids are. And they definitely grow up resilient, but there's also a lot of them that
there's a lot of resentment too.
Yeah. And they get in trouble, right? They're like, screw dad. Why should I listen to, mom's trying to raise the kids. They call it military brats, right? Like, there's a reason for that.
Or in general civilian life, you come home, you think you're out there, solving the world's problems, right?
Yeah.
And you come in and, you're expecting a gold medal when you walk through that door.
Yeah, everyone's like,
not even considering what happened that whole week you were gone, or that whole month, or basically that whole year. So, there is a lot of resentment that goes along with it. But, people say to me all the time, well, you work 24/7, you love to work, and I do. And recently I just said to someone the other day, I said, they said, you're going to be doing this forever. I said, look, all due respect, I lost my family. I let my kids down quite a bit. Try and make it up to them now. I can be better to them, in the next several 5 to 10 years, and help them with their families.
Yeah.
More than I did for them growing up.
Yeah.
And when they were growing up. So it's like,
you wouldn't be where you're at.
Yeah,
right,
but
Sean?
you got to have some point where you got to take ownership of, where you were and why you weren't there, right?
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by LaborFirst, the leader in healthcare navigation and advocacy for plan sponsors, union members, and retirees. Navigating healthcare isn't easy, especially when it comes to Medicare, and it shouldn't fall on our retirees' shoulders alone. That's where LaborFirst comes in. They work one-on-one with members to help them understand their benefits, resolve issues, and get the care they've earned. From answering tough questions to fixing billing problems, LaborFirst is in your corner every step of the way. No call centers, no runaround, just healthcare advocates who care. LaborFirst was founded by a proud Teamster son and grandson for over 60 years. His father and grandfather led Teamsters Local 837, now 107, in Philadelphia with pride, purpose, and grit. That same union spirit runs through everything LaborFirst does today. And LaborFirst is headed to the IF's Foundation meeting, annual employee benefits conference in Hawaii, November 9th through 12th, and you can find them at booth 701. They would love to connect with you. Swing by their booth to spin the prize wheel, get some snacks, and chat with an advisor about how they can support your union. Visit LaborFirst.com to learn more. This episode is brought to you by Catches Law Group, proud advocates for injured workers and their families since 1986. If you've been hurt on the job, navigating the workers' comp system can feel like fighting an uphill battle. That's where Catcher's Law comes in. They have recovered over $3 billion for hardworking people just like you, and they don't back down when your rights are on the line. They know what it means to stand shoulder to shoulder with unions and workers across the United States. Because at Catcher's Law, it's not just about compensation, it's about justice. Visit Catcher's Law at KECHESlaw.com. That's catcherslaw.com, KECHESlaw.com. And I've got to tell you, I've had the opportunity for 30 plus years to watch Catcher's Law in action. They have represented hundreds of thousands of hardworking men and women who were injured on the job. No one fights harder than Catcher's Law. Please visit Catcher's Law at catcherslaw.com. That's KECHESlaw.com.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just going back to your question, you have to be in 100%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting in the position you are today. I probably wouldn't be sitting in the position.
No, and you're doing great work. I mean, talk about, your nonprofit with vets, right?
Yeah.
That's something you and Amber started together. And also your other venture.
Tarmine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to the original question, I know we jumped around a little bit. My last years in the military struggled a little bit. And then when I got out, everything kind of fell apart.
So when you say fell apart, I mean,
my relationship with my family fell apart.
Right. It fell apart because you're present.
Now I'm present. I don't have community. I don't have a tribe. I don't have, everything that I was doing for a number of years. And I tell a lot of the guys that are getting out and like mentorship, I said, hey, the worst thing you can do is stop going, right? Because if you just stop and think you're going to be at home for 300 days a year, that's just not, it's not your personality. You have to like keep working towards something. You have to kind of keep climbing the mountain.
Right.
And I've seen so many individuals, they just stop and their relationships, fall apart because you're expecting like all this joy to happen. And it really, the family has no clue how to even
adapt to you being
react to you being in the house all the time, and you don't even know what's going on. You weren't there. You don't know, like, the kids eat Cheerios, and you like don't. I remember the kids used to walk past me and ask mom where something is, and I used to be angry at that. I used to get angry and say, like, I'm right here. Like, why aren't they? And it's like, you haven't been here for 10 years.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. I mean, similar situation. He made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake and went away for 4 or 5 years. And he comes home and he's, same thing. You're in a community, probably not a community like you were in, but he's comes home and now he's got to try and adapt and back into civilian life, right? And he starts telling his kids what to do, and they look at him and they say, "You went away for 4 or 5 years. Like, don't tell me what to do."
Yeah, who are you?
And I remember him coming to me. He's like, "This is unbelievable. I can't believe I'm getting undermined as a parent." I go, "You've been home for a month. You were gone for 4.5 years for something stupid you did."
Yeah.
I said, "It's going to take time." But it's like you can see the resentment building up and not knowing like how noble the task that you took on. You risk your lives for the freedom of everybody else. At the end of the day, your family is the one that matters the most.
They are. If you care about them. Right. And there's, and the other side of that is if two people aren't made for each other and they don't want to work it out, they go their separate ways. And sometimes that is the best thing.
Right.
Many times. But if you're trying to work it out, it's not easy either. I tell people, like, marriage is like the hardest thing. It's never easy. You are always going to have disagreements. They may turn into fights. They hopefully are passionate fights. I feel like the more
makeup's
passionate
the best
you
part
fight
of it.
are
After a passionate fight, the makeup is the best.
Yeah, of course. That's the best part, especially when you have a beautiful.
So you did how many deployments?
Yeah, I did 6 deployments.
Heavy action, SEAL Team 6.
Yeah, we were busy. Busy. I was there. My operational time, like 2005, 2010, was like my time when it was consistent, and it was busy at that time. Never stopped. I loved every second. Wouldn't change any of it. And
mentally, it took its toll, though.
Yeah, but on that train, I never thought about that. I never felt that way. But I did tell you this, and I was talking on another podcast about that, where the first few deployments felt like you were Superman and you could never get hurt and you could do anything. And this is my perspective, right? Others got different perspective. This is me talking. But as we started losing some close friends and guys in your unit and some helicopter wrecks and you're seeing like the destruction, you start all of a sudden going like, oh shit, like we're not Superman.
Right.
Like I stick, and how many times I had a friend stick their, face or body in front of a door and get shot. You start thinking about that. You're like, oh, that can be me.
Be me.
And then you start clearing rooms and going, all right, is this the time? Right. And then so you got this like little voice in your head that's starting to go like, man, when is my time? And so there's, some anxiety starts to build up there, but you keep doing the job. And I talked to a master chief once. We were talking about two guys that got shot on an operation, one guy's screaming, the other guy's bleeding. And we still had to clear the compound where there were still enemy combatants, throwing grenades. Like it was hairy. Heavy. And we talked about it afterwards over drinks. And he just said, yeah, he's like, honestly though, he's like, that's what courage is. He's like, I was scared to death too, but we did it, and it doesn't mean, courage doesn't mean like you're not scared, right?
No, I read something one time and I forget where I read it, but it was probably a leadership book. It was like the difference between a hero and a coward is that both a hero and a coward fail the same fare. It's just how one reacts versus the other that separates the two. Yeah,
you can't affect if you're nervous or get anxiety or honestly get a little scared of like shit going on, but doing it, that's what you have to do.
It's like football. I played Division III at UMass and all through high school. I was a good high school football player, decent Division III college linebacker. But before every game, no matter what, I'm crying.
Yeah,
I'm literally crying thinking about. And it wasn't crying because, you're emotional. I'm really not an emotional guy, but it was like you're visualizing what you need to do out there. I'm throwing up, being nervous.
Yeah.
And then you get that first pop, that first hit in.
You're good.
Everything's good.
You're good. My center used to throw up before every game. We would take snaps and then it would be the time. He'd like stand up and be like, wait a minute. And he would throw up and he would throw up. I'm like, oh, this is just how it goes all the time. But as soon as he made that first hit, that was it. You go through those deployments, come back, go out to the West Coast, become an instructor, don't really like what I'm doing, work is okay, family life is sucking, start going to a few brain clinics while I'm still on active duty. I saw a West Coast psychiatrist at the time. And
you're not telling anybody you're doing this. Are you sharing this?
No. I'm actually sharing it with some of the guys in CQC. So I finally left Buds after a year, and then I taught and led close quarters combat for 2 years in advanced training. They call it SEAL qualification training. That's when I spoke to my commanding officer and a couple of the guys. And it was a couple of guys that I had used to work with, so I was closer with them.
Sure.
So we can talk about some of this stuff. And he's the one who said, hey, I think, why don't you go talk to someone? He's like, so you're not just like confused. So I went and talked to the West Coast dive medical, I guess he was a dive medical officer. He was a psych. Anyway, he goes, Marcus, don't think this is weird. He goes, you're like the 200th guy that's come in here in the last couple of years with the exact same thing. Like your story is exactly the same as everyone else. I was like, yeah, that's great. You're making me feel good, but what does that mean? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, well, it could be classic PTSD. It can be TBIs. He's like, why don't we send you out to NICO clinic? NICO is Walter Reed's like brain clinic.
And you're probably thinking in your mind, and again, I know how I would think, hey, listen, I don't want to show weakness. I don't want people to think that I'm crazy. I want this confidential, and you're probably second guessing everything they're telling you.
It was still early, so nobody was talking about this. We had one guy that was starting to speak out about it, and guess what we said about that individual? He's crazy. He's crazy. And he wasn't crazy, but he was like, hey, there's something going on here. Like I'm just
pretty
not
courageous,
myself.
though, right? When you look back,
it really was. And again, there was senior leadership that, kind of ousted him. They were like kind of pushed him out. But he's a good individual. He's a smart individual, and he just identified something that was like not right. And that's kind of how I felt at the time. And it was good to hear that guy, the doc, say, yeah, this is like, you're like this is, you're late,
Yeah.
Like guys have been coming in here for a bunch of years. And so I get out of the military, I go into private banking, and I just tried to make it in the private sector.
Private banking is depressing.
It was, coming from what I just did. I was putting on a suit and tie every day, going to work in downtown Beverly Hills. I was literally pitching, wealthy individuals how I'm supposed to manage their money. And it was just, to me, it just felt gross. I was like, I felt like I was selling a widget.
Two different worlds too.
I remember telling the partner I was working for, I was like, hey, how is and I was working with a top group in the country. And I was like, how's our thing better than their thing and their thing? They're like, it's not, just talk to them. And I'm like, but this is, I didn't have that, I don't want to say skill set, because I never went to a sales course.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
But that's all it was. And I never bullshitted. Like, I just wasn't a bullshitter, right? I didn't have the gift of gab of just talking and lying and making up stuff.
Yeah. And taking rich people to dinner, pretending they're your friends.
It was gross, honestly. It was gross. And so, the harder that became, the worse life became at home, the harder I started drinking. And I thought I drank hard in the teams with the guys. Like, I drank a lot harder when I got out.
By
myself, at the house, nobody else there, watching old videos. Like, it was like one of those things. And that's where I really started spiraling. I think a lot of it obviously had to do with the alcohol, but
it is a depressant, right?
It's a depressant. And then I was prescribed antidepressants. And I tell guys now, and they're like, oh yeah, they wanted to prescribe me all these things. I said no. And they white knuckled it for a couple years, but they kind of came out the other side. Once you start the cycle of
antidepressants,
Ambien, maybe Adderall, Provigil or Nuvigil, all those together.
And these are all FDA approved.
These are all FDA approved drugs that are prescribed
by doctors.
By doctors who went to Harvard and Stanford and, working at Mayo and all these places, and you trust them. Like, what do I know?
Well, they're supposed to be the professionals.
As a human, like, what am I? I didn't go to medical school. And, and Amber's trying to help me. She was trying to figure out, like, hey, how do we figure out your sleep?
Now, when you're going to get help, right? And, the drinking's a problem. PTSD's a huge problem, right? And
I was ending up in the emergency room with anxiety attacks that I thought I was having heart attacks. And I'd go there and they're like, dude, you are stressed out.
Big, strong, healthy, handsome guy, right? Been in critical situations most of your adult life, life or death situations, and you're in an emergency room with anxiety.
And never crumbled or never had any of that stuff happen while I was working. Mm-hmm. Like, it was exciting. Like, it excited me. I don't know if it's funny or not, I have close friends who said, dude, I couldn't sleep when I came home, but when I went overseas, I slept like a baby.
Right.
Like, that's weird.
I've heard that before.
That's weird shit, right?
Some of my friends' sons were deployed, and they have the same thing. They're like, every 45 minutes you'd hear, and they were in Afghanistan, you'd hear gunfire. You'd jump up, get ready to go, grab your rifle. And I think we talked about this last night.
Yeah, a little bit.
A lot of people have the same story where they say, yeah, we jump up, grab our rifles, get ready to go, middle of the night. Were you scared? No, not really.
You were there.
When I'm home and I hear lightning and it wakes me up and I go to grab my rifle and it's not there, that's when I'm scared.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's real. I would consider that like real PTSD, right? And I think that's pure PTSD. I think what a lot of guys in special operations community, and of course a lot of guys have PTSD. I think a lot of guys have, and we talked about it, traumatic, kind of these mild traumatic brain injury.
Sure.
That operator syndrome paper came out. I don't know if you ever read it, but it was all about what we're talking about. It was like,
and that's like CTE.
Yeah, I can't diagnose you with PTSD, but you do have some of that, and then you do have some depression, and you are drinking, so you have alcohol use disorder. Maybe you're hooked on opioids from 3 soldier surgeries and 2 knee surgeries and back surgery. But also maybe you had, you were in a IED, or you clacked off too many breacher charges, in enclosed spaces, or for years doing it in training. They call them subconcussive blows. Like this is real now. We know that it causes micro tears in your brain. Those micro tears fuck up your hormones. So now your hormones are at like 250 when you're like 35 years old. Your hormones out low, you become depressed. It's just
performing well in other areas.
Every area, right? So it's got all these different things that happen. And then you get prescribed antidepressants, and then you forget them.
How long were you on the antidepressants for when you realized it wasn't working?
I was on them for 7 years.
7 years.
I was on them for a long time, but I wasn't just on them.
Yeah.
It was multiple So it was one, it didn't work. You'd try another one, or they'd up your dose, like Effexor and bupropion, Cymbalta, Lexapro. So it was like on all these different type of like mood stabilizers.
And you throw the pans in there, lorazepam, thorazepam.
And I don't know if they worked or not.
Yeah.
If they worked, I probably wouldn't be sitting here,
Right.
If they worked, then I would have got better and things were good. But the problem with those things, none of that stuff is actually healing you. It's just supposed to help with the symptoms.
It's maintenance.
It's maintenance, and you're not supposed to also be on them for a long time.
Right.
Like if you look at what you're supposed to be on them like 6 months, maybe a year, not for multiple years. We're having individuals that come to us that are on them for like 7 and 10 years. Psych's supposed to get you.
When did you make the decision? I'm not doing this anymore. I need to find something else.
So 2016, we were in Texas. We moved to Texas in 2014. Thought life would be a little bit better. I get out of like California, get out of Beverly Hills. We were living in Calabasas, like driving in every day. Life didn't get better there. My relationship with Amber just got really sour. Like we didn't even know each other. Our son Caden started acting up. Our daughter was having like super anxiety. Like it was just pandemonium. It was like survival mode.
Right.
Like I was surviving. They were definitely surviving. They were walking on eggshells in the house. I was throwing coffee mugs through the window. Like it was just, it was like a shitty lifestyle. Like you knew that wasn't going to last for a while. Mm-hmm. And she was done. Like she should have left. And I think she thought at the time, if she leaves, like,
what's going to happen to
what's going to happen to me? Because I was not in a good place.
Right.
But I think she knew it. She had to take care of them versus me.
Well, plus I think she probably knew the person you were prior.
Yeah.
When she first met you and said, I'm not going to give up on this person.
Yeah.
So, she's the she's the MVP of this story.
She's definitely the MVP. You'll see that in the documentary, like the spouses, the ones that stick around and like, you know what, I'm going to fix this.
Right.
Like that's what they do. I feel like sometimes we're so stupid and like they just
listen, guilty as charged, Your Honor.
Yeah, exactly. So you know exactly what I'm talking
100%.
about. And we had to make a decision. And at that time, we had a friend that served at least twice as long as I did. One of those individuals had been in forever, did over 20 combat tours. There's no shit. Really was struggling bad, and it was the same thing, right? So he was on the antidepressants. He was trying all the stuff. None of it worked. Didn't want to hear it. The relationship at home wasn't good. And for some reason, some way, somehow, he had a friend that knew about this drug called Ibogaine, this psychedelic, and said, hey, I think this can work for you, right? And these things were happening, by the way. I heard the story after. So like I'm telling you a story after they were going through it. Well, this guy went to Mexico, did Ibogaine, and in 48 hours, his life turned around 180. So he was headed like down, a really bad road. Don't know, if he'd be here today, to life is good.
So Ibogaine is what?
It's a psychedelic. It's derived from a shrub in Africa called Iboga. Iboga's, it's you want to call it a shrub, a plant. It grows to about 10 or 15
mm-hmm.
feet. And they take the root bark out, they grind it down. It's been used for thousands of years in West African cultures for mental health, for digestion and like stomach issues, for detoxing the body, for spiritual growth, addiction, huge for addiction. And so in these cultures, they use, we'll just say this specific culture, they use Ibogaine forever, and no one ever had a recreational or misuse of this drug. It was a sacred medicine.
So it's not an addictive type of
It's
thing.
not addictive at all. Like it's the opposite.
So when
it's anti-addictive.
Right. So you go down there. What is the treatment like?
Yeah. So just to to finish the story, this individual goes down. He's on his last leg. Life-saving treatment, comes back, and they start talking to Amber, and Amber's like, I don't know what to do. Like,
So how long is the treatment?
it's the way they do it now. It's like a 5-day thing, but the 5-day thing incorporates like a whole program now. Like you do all the medical stuff, you do the treatment one night, you do some breath work, because these experiences are tough. They're not fun. Like it's like super high anxiety sometimes. So they teach you how to breathe through the experiences. You eat well. Think of it as a place where you go and like just unwind,
Right.
and reset, because we're going 1,000 miles an hour. You just like need our central nervous system just to like take a break. So it's the whole week, but the treatment's only one night. So think of it as you get there on Monday, Tuesday night, you take the medicine at like, let's say 9 o'clock.
So what does the medicine look like?
It's literally like a pill, just like you would take your vitamins, your vitamin C. It's the exact same thing, but it's for your body weight. So someone that's 220 pounds, I take, let's say 1.3 grams. Someone that's 180 pounds is going to take less. So that's how they do it. But it's just like literally like a pill you take. They give you several pills every 15 minutes. So they don't give you all of it at once. You can get really sick. So they just kind of like sparse it out. And just like any other drug you take, ibuprofen, whatever, within an hour, it should start working. And, you start initially, you start hearing this buzzing sound in your ears. And the reason you hear this buzzing sound is because Ibogaine specifically heightens your senses like 400 or 500%. So your hearing is like 5 times better. Your smelling is 5 times. Your feel is 5 times. So the buzzing is just like the sense of everything.
Are you in a group setting when you do this?
You're in a group setting, yeah. So you all take it outside. They do like this little fire ceremony. It's a little hippy-dippy-ish. You're like, all right, we really have to do this. But they try to keep a little bit of the tradition mixed with like the medical aspect of it, because when stuff's too medical, it's hard to relax. Like you just, you go in a doctor's office and they're pulling out needles this big, so they try to make it comforting.
Now, before you're doing this, you're looking around, you say, what's weirdo's going to come near me when they're tripping or whatever the case?
Yeah, all types of stuff goes through your head. And that's why they say when you do psychedelics, the set and setting is so important, because of exactly what you're talking about. You're going to be a little paranoid,
Sure.
right? In Mexico, the first thing you're thinking is like, the cartel's going to break in the door. And like, like you start having all these weird thoughts, and you do a small fire ceremony. You write down what you're trying to get rid of on a piece of paper. You're like, I want to stop drinking. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better husband. I want to get rid of my depression. I want to make amends with my parents, whatever it is, right? And it's like, think of it like all the shit. You kind of take it, you talk about it to the group, you crunch it up, you throw it in the fire. It's like, hey, I'm getting rid of this. And that's what you're going into the mindset. You're like, all right, I'm going to fix these things tonight. They have the room set up. You do the fire ceremony. Within 45 minutes, you go to your room, you have your bed, you're hooked up to a heart monitor. There's nurses in there, there's doctor support. You have a port like in your vein put in. They're giving you nutrients during the week, like salt, like electrolytes. And so, and in the unlikely event, if your heart slows down, they can hit you with adrenaline to, because there is a slight cardiac risk with Ibogaine.
Yeah, so I was reading about that today.
Yeah.
Obviously they give you the side effects like everything else. And, they say, I think AFib is a big, AFib's a big.
Yeah, you can screen out. So this thing, there's such a stringent screening process to go do Ibogaine. If you have any heart issues, history of heart issues, any arrhythmias, disqualified right away. And that's why it's as safe as it can be, because they just disqualify an individual. Like, you shouldn't take that risk. And this shouldn't be done outside of a medical setting, no matter what anyone says, for sure. And then, within an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, you go into the experience. The experience with Ibogaine, for me, the first time, it was like going to hell and facing the devil for hours. I mean, for me, it was rough. It was violent. It was bloody. It was dark. It was, I was purging. I was puking. I was seeing like gnarly images, and it was just chaos. You'll see in the documentary.
I can't wait to see this documentary.
They do such a good job with the animation. So they were trying to figure out, how do we take these crazy stories that are very similar of this life review that we keep hearing from all the guys and put it into real movies.
And how long has this treatment been around?
Yeah, literally thousands of years.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
in Western culture, they brought it to Europe in the 1930s. The French took it.
So when you're on your doc trip, I think they called it, right? They call it a doc trip.
With the experience?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's a trip. It's a trip. It's a
So you
in a nice
up?
way. It's
Are you
a
sitting
journey.
Down? What is
You're
your
laying
posture?
down. You're laying down. So everybody has their beds, and everyone has their heart monitors there. You have a puke bucket. You have you have everything is like set up really nice for you. And so when you're about to go in the experience, you go to your bed, you sit down. The nurses are in there. They're all sitting down. It'd be like here on the floor. There'd be like beds on the floor, kind of next to each other. But everyone's having an internal experience. It's not external. It's not, this is not like LSD or psilocybin that is visual.
Yeah, because when you think about growing up, when we grew up,
yeah,
people
like
were
it's all
taking acid,
weird and melting, and
PCP.
Yeah. No,
this
is an internal experience.
Wow.
So they put eye shades on and music on. Once the eye shades go on, you have this life review.
What's the music selection like for those about to rock?
Yeah, I wish. So here's what's shitty. In traditional West African, Bwiti is the tribe there,
yeah.
The Gabonese. The music is called Bwiti music, and it's this instrument that they've developed, and it's the most annoying. And I say this with all due respect, as an American, it's really difficult to listen to. You come to respect it because of where it came from, but it's made to make it chaotic. It's not rhythmic like music you and I are used to. It's like it's all over the place, and It's very stringy. And so that is like in your brain now, and it's causing you to start seeing images. And the images are subjective. So your images are going to be your life, right?
Right.
My images are of my life, but it's a life review. And the review is
from inception to
from
current.
Literally, some people have literally saw themselves being birthed from like that cellular level all the way to today. And again, you don't know what the experience is going to be. That's why Western medicine has trouble, because they want to know exactly like, this is what it's going to be and this is what it's going to do. And it's not like that. My experience is going to be different from your experience. And you're solving problems. And what antidepressants do, which is try to put a Band-Aid fix and cover symptoms up, Ibogaine gets into your mind, into your subconscious, and it pulls out the shit that is affecting your day-to-day life. And it shows it to you, and you deal with it. And you and I both know the only way to move on from anything is to sit down and talk about it, person to person. If you're dealing with something, Otherwise it's compartmentalized. You're not dealing with it. You're still affected, whatever it is.
Guilty as charged.
100%. And so this forces you to deal with the situation and see different perspectives of an incident. So for instance, in my experience, I experienced judgment of how I judge Amber and the kids, but how I was experiencing it was my dad judging me constantly in my experience. And it felt like the worst thing that you could ever feel.
Right. So it's bringing up some suppressed childhood emotions that you were keeping.
When you were a kid,
here.
you maybe not even remembered, but your dad,
you thought it was normal. It was routine.
Your dad, beat you as a kid. You watched him beat your mom, and then he made you feel like shit all the time. You go back to that place, and you're feeling it, and you're sitting there, and you're like, I don't feel good right now. Like I'm getting judged for everything, literally everything. And then all of a sudden that experience shifts to you judging your wife and the kids the exact same way. And you feel it. Imagine, that's what a therapist or a psych's trying to get to, right? They're trying to get to that point to help you get through this. But like, how hard is that, right? How hard is it to connect?
It's brutal.
You can take years to connect with a mental health expert to try to get to that point. This does that in maybe in a couple hours. And so you feel that hurt and you feel that the anger and like it's painful. And then you see how it's affecting your wife and kids. Guess what happens after that? You're like, I'm not doing that again. If they feel what I've felt in this experience, I do not want them to feel like that. I will never do that again. So I came out of that experience like, I'm not judging my wife. I'm not judging the kids. I'm not treating them like I was treated. But you have to go through that and see it and experience it before you can make the change. We know it, but we just have to experience it again. And that's the magic of these medicines, is that they make you go back there, deal with the traumas in a way that you need to see. Like you need to face the demon, right? And then you face it and then you can move on and then you come out. That's why when I came out of the experience 24 hours later, so you do about 6 to 8 hours of peak. Yep. And I did see, I saw my best friend, we lost our best friend on deployment. And that was really tough. I took it personal. I was like, they had that moral injury. Like, yeah, It should have been me. And like, why was it him? He was like the best guy ever. It should have never happened. And so that haunted me for a couple years, but I got to visit him during the experience. And it was just like, nah, man, this is good.
It's fascinating.
It's all good. And I came out once I got some sleep, because the drug's in your system for a long time. So almost 24 hours, you don't sleep. You kind of go into twilight.
Yeah.
But it's not rough like the beginning. So when you finally get some sleep 24 hours later, you wake up and you're like, I feel like the world has just been lifted off my shoulders. And that's what I felt like. I literally felt like what I was trying to achieve for years happened to me in...
Now, do you think a lot of that PTSD was a result of your childhood, witnessing what you did, or the deployments and the training?
I don't think it was a lot of the deployments. I mean, I can't say that. Like, I don't know that for certainty. I'm sure there was some residuals there. Right. There's definitely some things that I did on deployment that I wish I took back, or things that I saw, gnarly stuff that I still think about. But I think there was definitely stuff at childhood that probably forced me to go into the teams and do something, be a protector.
Right.
Right. And then, dealt with all that type of stuff. And then, transitioning out, feeling like you left everything and left your buddies and started something new was kind of like this perfect storm of shit.
And the reason why I asked that is because, I had John Fussell on the show, and John's a warrior. Unassuming.
Well, he's like the toughest guy ever.
Yeah, and he's unassuming, right? And
he was my climbing instructor, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I said to him, is there a high PTSD rate in the Special Forces or Navy SEALs? I shouldn't say Special Forces, Navy SEALs, because we were specifically talking about that. And I said, is there a large suicide rate? And he said, and I think his answer was on the PTSD, like, we're trained to go into battle. We prepare our whole life for this, or our whole career. He says where the PTSD comes in is, the person that's on the GI Bill that enlists to get through college, maybe in the reserves, they get deployed and they start seeing people get blown up. They start seeing horrific things. He said, they're probably more affected than anybody else. The Special Forces or the Navy SEALs are trained and we're conditioned for this.
Yeah, we're diabolical. Like, it's like what we want to do.
Right.
But on the other side of that, and I agree with him, I think there's definitely a much higher prevalence in the conventional forces that guys that are, like you said, going to school on the GI Bill, next thing you know, they're driving down a heavily IED'd route and, the Humvee in front of them gets blown up and they just lost 4 of their friends, like disintegrated. Like, that's serious shit. However, it doesn't mean that we don't have it.
Oh, I'm
right.
Sure.
And we started my wife and I started the charity just because I got
vets,
better.
Right?
Yeah, vets, Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions. Because I got better, we just wanted to pay it forward to our friends. Some of my very best friends that I served with that were just like John were looking for the same answers. They were on antidepressants. They were seeing therapists. They weren't getting better. These, by the way, are still 20-year retired SEALs that I think are the hardest guys on the planet. Were calling and saying, hey, like, dude, I'm fucked up. Like, I need something.
So getting back to the treatment. So you finish it. It's what, 5-day program?
Yeah, it's like now it's a 5-day program. Back then it was like held together with glue and tape.
Back then we're talking 2017.
2017. Right? Yeah. But I mean, this was like early, like
so
this was still stigmatized.
You come home from Mexico after this treatment. Is there any aftercare or is there anything you need to do? So what is that like?
Aftercare is probably the most important thing. Most of the professionals like in this industry will say the drug does 10% of the work. The healing is 90% afterwards, because if you go back into a toxic environment, you can revert right back to where you were before. Psychedelics cause something called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to adapt and learn and habit form.
And retrain, right?
You can retrain it in that state. So when we're younger, that's why we can do everything. Learn it when you're young. Play an instrument, throw a ball, shoot a bat. You know how you do it quickly. You pick up a golf club at a young age, in like 3 months, you're right. You can't do that now because your brain's not as neuroplastic. That psychedelics allow you to go back to like kind of that young age with your brain and be neuroplastic, and allows you to learn again. Guys come out of these experiences and like pick up an instrument, and all of a sudden they start playing because you're able to adapt. You're also able to form bad habits. So you come out of the experience and all of a sudden you start drinking hard again, and your brain's like, oh, I like this beer, I like this alcohol, I'm going to start drinking hard again. Now you just retrained your brain for a bad habit, and that can happen. Right. So what you were talking about, the post stuff, is so important. We at Vets, we pair every individual that comes through treatment with a licensed therapist / psychedelic integration coach that's also veteran trained. So we have like the trifecta.
So you're using a non-traditional approach initially to go through the experience. Right? Basically retrain refocus, retrain your brain.
Yeah.
But then you come out of the program and you're going back to traditional psychiatrists?
No. So all the licensed therapists that we have are psychedelic integration coaches. Right. So they're trained in psychedelic therapy. However, at Vets, we don't just allow psychedelic integration coaches. We want them to be licensed therapists too. We want them to have that. So
that's their background.
That's their background.
So you're not going to an AA meeting because you get the urge to drink.
No.
You are getting your support through these.
You're getting your support through these individuals that are trained in veteran care, in therapy, and now in psychedelic integration. So these folks, like if you came through as a veteran and we accepted you into the program, we would immediately match you with one of these coaches, and you start working with them right away before you even go down. So they prep you.
So the Ibogaine is a class 1
schedule. Yeah, schedule 1.
Schedule 1, I should say. Schedule 1.
Yeah.
So it's illegal.
Technically, it's illegal. But here's what a Schedule 1 actually means. It means that it's got no medical benefit and it's highly addictive, or has the rate to be has a high chance for abuse.
Right.
We know now. I would say individuals who knew about this forever know that there's massive medical use for this. We were just talking about anti-addictive. And you can abuse anything, but these are not addictive drugs. These are not physiologically.
So how often you take the...
So me personally, I've gone back now since 2017. So we're talking about almost 9 years now. I've gone back 6 times
for the experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't gone in 3 years. My first one was like the reboot. The others were just like, I call them tune-ups. Mm-hmm. And again, it's individualized. Some individuals come through, they go through one time, they're done. They never have to do it again. Some go back, some just pay on their own because they want to do this every year. I know so many folks that just go and retreat every year just as a tune-up. They're not depressed. They don't have PTSD. They're just like, hey, if I can improve and get better, why not?
So is the first experience probably the most intense?
Yeah, that's the one.
And then each time you went back,
it gets a little bit easier.
Was there different subject matter that was coming up, or was it the same,
different subject matter,
suppression of your childhood?
Yeah.
And then each time you went back, there was a different.
The other times I went back, what it told me was like all the stuff that you filtered out, like you're good. Like you don't have to kind of keep, you sometimes, but I always went back asking it like, can I get better at this? Can I be less, angry at this? So I always went in there with the intent of working on something because we're not perfect.
Right.
Jesus,
and you didn't go
Jesus
in there,
is perfect.
You
That's
didn't
the
go
only
in there with any, our respective significant others are perfect.
And our spouses are perfect.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
God's perfect.
God is perfect. But when you went into each experience, did you have a certain subject on your mind, or you just went in there and saying, all right, this comes out, or I want to focus on what I need to do to get better in this aspect of my life?
Yeah. So always went in there with the intent of something. So every time I went back, I was like, hey, this time I want to
wrote down the 5
Yeah,
things,
and you're working with your coach. So every time you go, you always do prep and you do a lot of integration after. And the prep is what you're talking about. So one time you might go down and go, you know what? I'm an alcoholic. This is going to kill me and it's killing everybody else. I want to stop drinking. Right? So you go out with the intent to stop drinking. Maybe you're
addicted to opioids.
Now, that one's a little different because that's a physiological addiction.
Right.
Opioids are within 3 days, like your body wants it and then it just takes over. Hard for the brain to like say, I don't want this anymore. It's like literally physically addicting. They have a different protocol for that.
Yeah. So I read something that 80% of the people that go in there for an addiction don't get the craving right away. And then there's like a 30% success rate where 30% of the people that go through the program never touch
heroin,
the drugs
whatever,
again.
synthetic opioids again.
Right.
That's one of the main reasons why, or how Ibogaine kind of got on the scene, is for addicts.
Right. But if the criteria to qualify for it medically, I mean, you see a lot of addicts, and we've seen them, heroin addicts, OxyContin, fentanyl now.
Yep.
They're not healthy people.
No.
Right. And so how do I, being a heroin addict or addicted to fentanyl, where my heart rate must be off the charts, how does this help me if I can't qualify to get the treatment?
So that's where I think we need more research.
Right.
And individuals that have died doing Ibogaine have had weak hearts, have been on this for too long, have not done them in medical
so that's
environments.
what the critics are going to focus on.
100%. Right? All the critics, and you always hear it. The good thing is that we have been doing so much positive work around it that you're getting less critics that talk about addicts because we've been sending so many veterans through. And because so many veterans have been coming through, I get calls all day from first responders, from corporate, from executives, from teachers, you name it. I'm sending them outside the country to do Ibogaine because they just want to.
What's the cost of Ibogaine if you qualify?
Yeah, for veterans, they give us, a significant discount. Most of these clinics are charging $8,500, $9,000. The addiction protocol is longer because a lot of times they have to detox the individual off. You cannot take Ibogaine on any of the synthetics that you were talking about. You have to actually be detoxed completely or slightly going into withdrawals, and then they flood the system with Ibogaine, but it takes multiple times. But the wonder of Ibogaine for these individuals is that there's no when they come out of the experience, they have no craving for the drug anymore. They're not shaking for
so
it.
There's 80% people that come out of the experience don't have the craving. I mean, of course, you're always going to get, statistics can be,
right.
Pros and cons of statistics, but that's pretty fascinating. But you only can do this in Mexico right now?
It's where it's legal to do it. There's a couple other places, I believe, Portugal, South Africa, Australia, not many places, Malta. That's why Mexico, just like medical tourism, right? Guys, people been going down there for years for stem cells. They've been going to Panama for stem cells. Remember before
Right.
we couldn't do them here? That's where everybody was going. The doctors in Mexico, by the way, for stem cells, they literally have thousands and thousands
What
of
about
treatments.
psilocybin?
So psilocybin is another...
Is it psilocybin?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
psilocybin, mushrooms, magic mushrooms.
Right.
It's the active, psychedelic in magic mushrooms.
And that's only legalized in Oregon and in Colorado.
Oregon, Colorado.
Is it a similar experience? Is it
It
similar
can
results?
be. If you take enough, they call it a heroic dose, where you really can't walk around, you have to be lying down. Many individuals are getting a similar type of experience where they put the eye shades on, they're going back and they're doing an experience where they're kind of visiting these like traumas in their lives, whatever's kind of affecting them. It's not as rough as a journey as Ibogaine. Ibogaine is really hard on the body. Psilocybin doesn't seem to be as hard. It's a shorter duration. So a psilocybin experience can be like 4 to 6 hours total.
Yeah, I have a good friend that did it recently, and he did it with another friend of his. And his friend played pro football, had knee injuries his whole life.
Yeah.
And they determined that the knee was fine, but the pain, something in the brain was triggering that pain. So basically they reset the brain and
didn't have any pain.
Didn't have any pain. Like they went on a walk that night. He was telling me the story.
I hear
they went on a walk, a couple nights later.
Yeah.
And my friend said to him, "Wow, you're walking straight. You feel," he goes, "Literally, I have no pain at all." But
isn't that remarkable, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, it blew my mind because
and by the way, that's real. His story is real.
Yeah.
Like I know for a fact it's real because so many individuals go down with back pain, with knee pain, with shoulder pain for years, headaches. They come out, it's gone. So it was just like a brain thing that they had this quote unquote pain, and all this did was just reset the way that they were thinking about it, and then the pain went
What
away.
is the other treatment? It's a religious. They have a religious exemption, I think.
Oh, ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca in the United States.
It's a tough experience. It's I don't like to compare it, but let's say it's on the similar path of Ibogaine, where individuals get sick, they throw up. It's also shorter duration. It's brewed in a tea. It's very big in like South America and Central America. Right. And the active ingredient there is DMT.
Right.
Same thing.
And then they're all considered
Schedule 1.
Schedule 1, I should say.
Again, no medical benefit, highly addictive. Like
right.
I don't know anybody doing these things. People are of course taking microdoses of psilocybin and things like that recreationally. But like your buddy did, they're trying to go in there, especially athletes who've got, hit their head a bunch of times. They're going in to heal their brains. Right. So
why aren't more people, or why isn't this mainstream, saying, hey, look, it's proven, we have heroes, war veterans coming back that suffer from tremendous PTSD, that have issues. They go through this experience. What is your goal with vets and also your company?
Yeah.
Are we looking to lobby to get this legalized?
Yes.
The treatment. So tell us where you're at with that.
So we want to get it medicalized. Legalized would be you and I being able to like walk around, walk down the corner and, get a bag of, psychedelic mushrooms or whatever. That's dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Medicalized meaning it gets rescheduled, and so we can do research. The thing about Schedule 1 also, very difficult to do research, even at the top institutions because of that Schedule 1 from the DEA. So they have to be rescheduled. We're working on all of it. There's a lot here, and we're working on it at the state level. We had money recently appropriated. We passed a bill in Texas to appropriate $50 million to do Ibogaine clinical trials, FDA clinical trials in Texas. We passed a bill in California to lessen the restrictions on research there. We're working on stuff in North Carolina and Alabama. So it's happening at the state levels, and then the federal government, the same thing. So we're working to open up research dollars. Like there is data there, but they want to see more. Right. So all we're saying is, all right, if you want to see more data, we can't just keep
we need more
raising
money.
$1 billion from private sector companies to take this to. That's how much it
But why wouldn't the
costs.
federal government want this? Because you're going to take a lot of the burden off of, you know, the antidepressants, the stuff that's not working, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you make a one-time investment and go
Because
down
it's
this
still
road?
stigmatized. And so although many individuals are on board now and they understand it, like you understand it, but like I'm going to assume the first time you heard about this too, you're like that.
Well, I the first time I heard about any such treatment like this was my buddy doing this about 6 months ago.
Yep.
And then when I met you at the Senate breakfast, you know, I knew who you were. And when it was explained to me what you were doing there, I'm like, this is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, is there any correlation with, you know, eventually having an impact positively on people that potentially have CTE?
Right. Well, so that's the holy grail, is that Ibogaine specifically, and I can't speak about the other psychedelics because I don't think they've done enough brain studies yet, but what Ibogaine we're doing specifically for TBIs, that's why individuals are getting better, because it's actually working on the neurobiology. It's working on the chemistry of the brain. It's allowing the lesions of the brain that, you know, is on our SPECT scans, like, you know, these spots that are, you know, like kind of black spots, meaning there's no blood flow, there's no synaptic connections there, there's no communication. The Ibogaine is getting in there and it's working on those parts of the brain. It's actually making them work again. So to your point, brain degeneration, can it fix that? Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, eventually CTE, right? CTE is kind of the last stage of getting your head hit a bunch of times, and you can only diagnose it in a deceased individual.
Right.
At the, you know, look at the brain. I think there's definitely studies going on if they can see some biomarkers if you have early stage CTE, but that's where this is going, right? And so federal government, let's release money, more money. You know, they can absolutely accelerate research by
funding it,
flooding more money and flooding some of these clinical trials. So that's what we've been working on.
I can see it right now when I get home. Christine listens to all these podcasts like Amber does, I would assume. And she's going to be like, babe, we're going to go to Mexico. I can see it right now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's what happens.
She's going to fix me.
We'll talk about it offline. It's happening. You know, we, when I felt like I found something, going back to Amber and I wanted to pay it forward. We started paying it forward to our friends.
After you went through
After I went through
so
my
that's
treatment.
when you started Vets.
That's when we started Vets. We just wanted to help our friends.
So tell us about Vets.
Vets started initially after I was treated. We said, you know what? Let's get like 12 individuals through this year, and you know, one a month. And if those individuals get better, you know, maybe we'll start speaking out about this because it's still kind of weird, right? It's like still stigmatized. So we started just advocating, right? We started doing interviews and podcasts to say, hey, I found something that worked for me. We want to pay it forward. We don't want this to happen. Like we don't want individuals to take their lives because you have so much to live for. And that's how it started. And so friends would reach out, we'd get them funding, and they would get
And you
treated.
were just doing private fundraising at this point
Yeah,
in time.
we were like, I mean, you know, it was a little shaky.
That's the hardest part of anything is asking for help and money.
Asking for money. I mean, that's all we do now. It's like fundraise, right? Like
Right.
It's a tough thing. But in 2019, we applied to the IRS, got our 501c3 status. We were able to raise money now on our own. And to date, we have now funded over 1,200 individuals for treatment. And that's why I was going back to the question of, are there guys struggling? Well, we've funded over 1,200 and we're getting 10 times that amount of applications. So, and just focused on special operations community. If we open this up to the whole veteran,
that was going to be my next question.
we can't even handle our community. How can we handle everybody? Because there's just not enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough doctors. There's not enough retreats. And so, but there is the demand of people raising their hand saying, hey, I need this. I need help.
So if someone comes to Vets right now,
Yeah.
you're not just strictly, you know, basing it on the Ibogaine. It's like, all right, they come to us for help, but there are other resources.
Yeah,
you
we're
provide for
treatment
them.
agnostic. So
Right.
like many are coming for Ibogaine. It's kind of, you know, your friend tells you to do something, you're all of a sudden not going to go search for something else. You're like,
No.
I want to do what you did because you got better. So, you know, the nonprofit grew off of many individuals going to do Ibogaine. We've written grants for everything. ayahuasca, couples ayahuasca, psilocybin retreats. We do quarterly spousal psilocybin retreats. So there's many women that are applying because they're like, hey, my husband got better. I'm still fucked up.
I mean, but I would suggest too. I mean, the women, the spouses, their own group. I mean, they've got to suffer some trauma just being married to savages like yourself.
Big time. And I say that in the nicest way.
Yeah, no, say Aaron, I'm not kidding, but I mean, think about it. I mean,
these are like the toughest women. You know, when the 300 Spartans got chosen, right, to go fight.
Right.
You know how they chose those? Right. They chose those individuals off of the toughness of their spouses.
Right.
Because they knew those individuals were not coming home, and they needed the spouses to raise the children and rebuild the community. And that's what our women are like. And so we do spousal retreats quarterly in Mexico, psilocybin. They have the same experiences. They come back just reborn, you know, just ready to enjoy life again.
Right.
And so you get the husband treated, you get the spouse treated. Now you put them together, and like
that's amazing.
That's
amazing.
An incredible duo.
So that's one aspect of what you do.
Yeah, and
you and Amber.
Vets has grown though, right? So we started funding individuals, and we have those. That's called programming. That'll always happen, but we can only do 250 to 300 a year. You can't really move the needle on helping as many individuals that are reaching out. Then the other pillar is research. So you pair those stories, the stories that we're talking about.
Right.
The individuals on the Hill want to see the data. So we had to go get the data. So we worked with Ohio State, got a study published in Nature Journal, Ohio State, Hopkins. So real research institutions, real data. We pair the stories with the data, and then we go lobby on the Hill. And so then we have our advocacy arm, and we have, 2 full-time policy directors that are writing these bills and speaking on the Hill. And so we have this
and that's coming under the.
It's all under vets. It's all under vets. All the money that get raised into vets goes to all these different programming and work. And so the success we've had at vets, Amber's the CEO. I chair the board. I raise money. I tell the story so we can continue keeping that engine going. Had individual investors see the work we're doing, say, hey, this is not just for veterans. There's a much bigger opportunity here for the private sector. And that's when we started Tara Mind. So I got hired by VC Red Cell Partners. Grant Verstandig is the chairman, CEO there. And he's a big veteran advocate. And he was funding, the work we were doing and saying, hey, this is going to go to the private sector. Let's figure out how do we do that. And that's
so this is all the research arm of it?
No, Tara Mind is really it's a commercial entity. It's a health benefit.
Right.
So
you can go to individual health funds and
employers
provide a benefit. Employers, union health funds.
100%. Union health funds, prices are, costs are increasing.
Right.
We want to go in there and say, hey, all your individuals that are your high cost claimants, the ones that are on antidepressants, the ones that are in talk therapy that are not getting better, we want to step in and take care of those individuals. Today, we can't do that with Schedule 1. We do it with IV ketamine.
Right.
IV ketamine, now we know, is the #1 drug we can give an individual that's struggling with treatment-resistant mental health. So today, we're doing it with IV ketamine. Tomorrow, as psilocybin comes through, as Ibogaine comes through, we can just plug those treatments into our network. We've built a network in all 50 states. So in all 50 states, we have over 600 psychiatry and integrative clinics on our platform, and we have therapists in all 50 states.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's what Tara Mind is. Tara Mind's the commercial arm. They're not connected at all. I'm just the co-founder and CEO.
What is the marketing strategy of that? I mean, how do you market?
How do you market to B2B? Well, 140 million Americans get their health coverage from their employer.
Right.
We want to reach that market. So our market's huge. It's 140 million Americans. It's unions.
And what benefit does an employer get out of this? I mean, that they wouldn't get out of traditional
more productivity, reduce absenteeism, reduce costs. Keep people off of short-term, long-term disability, help the individuals that are not getting the help through the system, take the individuals that are the companies high-cost claims, and let's try to get those individuals before they cost a lot. Let's see if we can treat them, get them better, and save you money.
I mean, we have some of the biggest and best health and welfare funds in the Teamsters Union around the country. We should be making these introductions, and that's how we can help on this part.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to.
On the nonprofit side of it, we can also help as well. Mm-hmm. How can we help on the nonprofit side?
Get involved. So if you go to our website, it's VETvetsolutions.org. There's opportunities to get involved in terms of, providing resources. I always say, when people say, how do we help? We live and die by philanthropy. We've had amazing private donors over the last couple of years. We just hired our development director. We're hiring an assistant development director. So now we're starting to go into the corporate route, asking corporations, because we know all corporations.
What about these defense contractors that make gazillions of dollars off the work?
Well, we
that
do.
You do every
We get
day?
money. So like supporters, like Black Rifle Coffee is a big supporter of ours, right? Like they're a big veteran advocate. They donate to us every year. We love those guys over there, JT and Evan.
We got to start squeezing Raytheon and those
We
folks.
should. We absolutely should. We haven't reached out yet, but like we absolutely should. I mean, we're talking about what we're doing here is like we're helping generations. You know what I mean? We're not doing anything weird. We're helping people who need it. And so if individuals out there and are listening to this, like if they support the work that we're doing, you're getting a better person. You're taking an individual who put their life on the line. They came back, they didn't get help from the system. And what do we do about it? And that's where vets and like all these other nonprofits have stepped in and said, hey, we'll carry the torch forward. We'll help the individual. We'll keep the family together. We'll send the kids to school. And so that's what we're doing.
So where can we see vets? What's your social media platform?
It's vetsolutions.org. So the easiest way is go to the website. There's a ton of resources on there. All our social media sites are on there. There's a ton of videos on there. All the work we've been doing, Participant Media, who was kind of the 800-pound gorilla in documentary filmmaking, got a wind of our story years ago and wanted to make a documentary. So we had been working with them now for the last 6 years.
And you premiered the documentary last night, right?
Yeah. Well, we showed it here at the Hopkins Science Center.
Right.
We've been showing it all around the country, actually all across the globe. We just got back from London, packed theater, packed house. And it follows 3 SEALs, 2 that I worked with, DJ Shipley and Maddie Roberts, 2 of my very close friends that I've known for over 20 years. Similar type of struggles, healed through Ibogaine treatment. And now same thing, they're paying it forward. So that's what the film's about, but it's about like the broader story of mental health and destigmatizing, asking for help. But it's around Ibogaine.
And what's the name of the documentary?
It's called In Waves and War.
And where can we find this?
November 3rd. It streams on Netflix. If you go there now, it's in the coming, you're at night, you're flipping through Netflix right now. It's on the coming soon. November 3rd, it airs at midnight and it'll be on for a couple years.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Are you in it?
I am one of the main subjects in the film, and Amber and I are actually also co-producers on the film.
That's great.
Yeah, and
were they filming this when you went into?
They've been filming it for the last couple of years.
You had no idea when you went down there that this was being filmed?
Well, no. They started filming it after we started Vets, and they had heard about the work we were doing. They said, "Hey, we have to tell this story. Like, we have to get this word out there." And that's when we started.
I mean, what a way to get it out there.
It's really, and it's really powerful. I mean, it's when you see it, you're gonna go.
Is it a series or is it a 2-hour?
It's an hour and I think 46 minutes, but it covers everything. It's like emotional, it's family, it's individual, it's kind of healing and hope. And the one cool thing that it has done, and as you know, we've got a pretty shitty divide in this country between the right and the left.
Oh, you think?
Yeah.
I dealt with it today.
Yeah. And you deal with it on a regular basis. And what this film does and what this whole thing has done, it's brought people together, because I think everybody can agree upon like, hey, we should take care of these individuals that went overseas and fought for our country and died for our country and have come back with some hidden wounds of war. Like, it's our duty to take care of them.
Sure.
And so you got the right and left that are actually working together on this issue. And Amber and I love that, because we don't like a divided country. We do believe that you can be friends with people on both sides of the aisle. We're a lot more alike than we're not alike.
I always tell people all the time, because I deal with it, and I get criticized left and right, because if I have a conversation with someone that's on the right, I'm a sellout. If I have a conversation with someone on the left, it's like, you're woke, you're this or that. It's like, no, listen, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the problem. Forget about what our beliefs are on either side and find solutions to these problems. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what reasonable people do. You don't weaponize the issue, right?
No.
How could we ever weaponize this issue?
It would be,
It'd be unpatriotic, number one.
We would shoot it down immediately. And when we started shooting this documentary, why Amber and I got involved as co-producers, it's the first thing we said. We said, hey, We know this is Hollywood. We know Hollywood leans left. We will not politicize this issue. This is an issue about healing individuals, and that's all that matters. If we can work together and agree upon that, let's do it. And they've become some of our best friends.
All right, so that'll be streaming on Netflix.
Yeah.
What date?
November 3rd.
And what's the name of it again?
In Waves and War.
In Waves and War.
From the Odyssey.
Make sure we check it out. I got to talk to you about one thing.
Let's go.
Let's talk about your family.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best support network you have, right?
My family is amazing. Amber is, she's my guardian angel. She's stuck by my side forever. She's a bulldog. She's a true CEO. She's got a strategic vision that I've never seen. And she really understands the big picture in all of this. Her decision-making all along has been spot on. There's been a lot of noise from...
She had the best case study in the world.
She guinea pig number 1 or 2 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And then our kids are just, again, our family unit, it was not a unit. It was like a fragmented shit for a long time. Mm-hmm. And when I got better, my relationship with our son, Caden, who's just an incredible soul, got better. My relationship with our daughter, Maggie, got better, and just like the unit started working again. And if we can do that for many individuals, like how cool is that, right?
Well, great. I mean, that's a home run. I mean, think about where you were, the darkest times in your life, and where you are now. On behalf of myself, my family, I appreciate your sacrifices you made for this country.
Thank you.
But more importantly, it's been an honor and a privilege to meet someone like you. And obviously, I know we're going to have a long-standing relationship. Amber and Christine have a lot of similarities, and I'll say it in a way where you're more eloquent. Christine's a boss bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what Amber is.
That's what it is, you know? So I got to ask you one question before we wrap up. If you could have lunch with anybody in the world, not someone that's been deceased or a relative or someone you miss, who would that person be? Tough question.
Man, that's like off the top rope, huh?
Right.
I mean, I'd have lunch with the President of the United States, always. Like, I feel that, we live in the greatest country in the world. We have the freedoms to do whatever we want. We have so much here that individuals just don't understand when they go to other countries. And I would want to sit down with the president. And, I want to sit down with the current president. I would sit down with any president. I just think that, the world looks at us as leaders. And I think that, that couldn't be a greater honor to sit down and just shoot the shit and ask real questions.
I'm certain you could pull that off. I'm sure you already probably have put it in motion.
I haven't. No, I haven't. I think our president's doing a good job. He gets hammered. I think like everybody else, he does. Nobody's perfect, but I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for everybody right now.
I'm rooting for America myself.
I always root for America, and I try to stay kind of center of the aisle. And I just hope we can figure it out, because like we said, we're too divided. And I think we need to be closer to the middle. I think the wings are what hurts our country, and I'm hoping that, like you said, we can put our differences aside and come together, because right now, we're so divided. And I think what you said earlier is that you get hammered from both sides of the aisle, but I think that's why you're a leader. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you're getting sued and you're getting hammered by folks, I think that's when you're doing something right.
Well, the other thing too, I mean, we need vision in this country, not division.
Yeah.
To move forward.
Yeah.
Again, Marcus, thank you very much, and look to have you on in the future episodes of Better Bad Ideas. Thank you so much.
Sean, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.